Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope everybody is having a great start to their holiday season. I know that we're busy around here. So today's video is kind of going to cover a couple of topics. Firstly, I just kind of wanted to update you guys about my skincare situation. I did go see my esthetician last weekend, and I know I told you guys that a lot of my channel was going to be revolved around product reviews. Unfortunately for me right now, testing a lot of products just isn't in the best interest of my skin. I was having a ton of breakouts, and whenever I spoke to my esthetician about it, she mentioned that just trying and testing and using so many different things can definitely freak your skin out. So for me personally, it just wasn't working, and I had to slow my roll, and she put me on a specific, not a specific regimen, but just kind of suggested that I keep it simple. So right now I am using the Image Skincare line. I am using their Ormedic cleanser. I do have another cleanser from their Ageless line that I haven't quite incorporated yet just because I'm having some dryness. So I'm trying to give my skin a little bit of time to recuperate from the really cold weather before I use that, because it does have glycolic acid in it and it can be really drying. So I don't want to overly dry my skin. I also do use an antioxidant serum from the Ormedic line, and I'm using their Daily Matte Moisturizer from the Prevention line. You guys will definitely still be seeing some product reviews from me because I have used quite a bit of other products, but I won't be trying anything new for a while that doesn't come from anywhere else but Image Skincare. Image Skincare does have a ton of great products, so I definitely look forward to telling you guys all about those products and what they've done for my skin. I have seen just in the past couple of weeks a really big change in taking my Estie's advice and just sticking to one brand. One question that I had for my Estie was that I was doing a lot of chemical exfoliating at home. And I watch a ton of YouTube, so I think that was kind of driving me to do this, do it yourself and do everything at home, and maybe that will make it cheaper, maybe that will make it easier. But at the end of the day, really all it did is break me out more than I was before. It caused more problems than it did good. And for a lot of people, that might not be the reality. Maybe some people have found that using chemical exfoliators at home and masks at home has worked for them. But for me, I wasn't willing to continue to freak my skin out because I do scar very easily and I do break out very easily. So I'm just going to be giving myself a little break for a little while from trying anything new and doing any exfoliating at home. With that being said, you guys are looking for any suggestions, or you guys do react well to chemical exfoliators on your own, I definitely have good things to say about them. So right now, my current routine consists of a cleanser, a serum, and a moisturizer. I have gone back to the basics. I'm keeping it very simple. Before, I was using a cleanser, a toner, an essence, and a serum, and then an oil and a moisturizer. I was using a ton of products on my skin. If you're using 6 or 7 products from completely different brands and you have a breakout, even though you may be able to look on the back of the bottle and see what ingredients are in there, it's gonna take you a lot of time to narrow it down between all of those products to figure out what is causing the breakout. So something that was suggested to me is try to keep it simple, less is more, and to try to use as many products from one brand at a time as you can, because most of the time those products are all created and tested together and they're intended to be used together, so you have less of a chance of irritating your skin that way. I am not an esthetician, I'm not a doctor, I am not a professional in any way. I'm just a person speaking from experience and telling you guys what has and has not worked for me. Originally, whenever I talked to my husband about getting a facial, one thing that I told him was that this is going to save us money, because in the long run, the esthetician is going to do all of the hard work and I'm going to do the basics at home, which includes not wearing as much makeup, which includes not doing my own exfoliating or masking or any of that. You go home, you do your cleansing, you do a serum if you want to, and you do a moisturizer, and that is it, and you let her do everything else. So something that I have kind of learned for myself for the health of my skin and also financially is that getting a facial sounds expensive, it sounds like maintenance, and it sounds a little bit much. But at the end of the day, it's kind of been something that's worked best for me in my acne-prone skin. And actually, I think that if I were to add up all of the products that I've bought over the past few years and all of the wasted money that I spent trying to find products that have worked for me and things that don't break me out, which 99% of the products that I have bought have broken me out in some form or fashion, which has been a waste of money. Instead of doing all of that, if I would have known from the beginning that just going to an esthetician and having them look at my skin and telling me what my skin type is and what exactly I am needing, and avoid having any breakouts or rashes, or quite frankly just spending money that I don't want to spend or may not have to spend. You don't want to go and get a facial every single month or every quarter if it's just not something that you can fit in your budget or that just interests you in any way. I would definitely recommend at least doing it once. At least go and have a professional tell you your skin type. It's kind of tricky to guess your own skin type, especially if you're someone like me that's just getting into this world. So if you think you know your skin type, but you're not 100% certain, I would definitely suggest at least going once and having somebody that you can trust, that you know is going to give you valid information so that you can go out and buy the correct products with the correct ingredients and know that you're giving your skin exactly what it needs. Internet has a lot of controversial information and a lot of people that say, oh, this worked for me, this didn't work for me. At the end of the day, it's going to be about testing for yourself and finding out what works for you. But I honestly found that instead of trying to do all of this research, spending all of my money, spending all of my time, and quite frankly, just putting my face and my skin at risk, it's really been much more beneficial for me to go to an esthetician and to have her give me that information so that you take the guesswork out of it. You don't have to put your skin at risk. You don't have to put your wallet at risk. You just go in and they tell you what your skin type is. You get a nice relaxing facial and you leave feeling fresh and new. And honestly, it has really transformed my skin and my mindset towards my skin and a lot of products. And it's just something that I would suggest you try at least one time. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is something that for a lot of people that know me is going to be kind of laughable. It's even laughable for myself. Something that I've been kind of trying to practice and implement and just learn about are healthy habits. And what I mean by healthy habits aren't just necessarily food habits. It's kind of just healthy habits in general. Honestly, I could kind of go into a ton of different areas of things that I just didn't know before. Like, for instance, changing your pillowcase. Like, when does anybody just tell you, oh, by the way, if you change your pillowcase, you won't get pimples? It's just not something that's ever brought up in random conversation. Another thing that I have learned along the way that is not really common sense to me and kind of in some way didn't make sense to me was wearing sunscreen. And this is something that I was super skeptical about and I was super picky about and still kind of am in some ways, but it's something that I've done quite a bit of research on and have found a sunscreen that actually works really well for my skin, so I am officially a believer. But wearing sunscreen every day, especially if you have acne-prone skin and active breakouts, is something that you might really want to do your research on. I know a lot of people, including myself, that have sensitive and acne-prone skin say, oh, well, sunscreen just makes me break out. Anytime I ever wear sunscreen, it makes me break out. Guys, science has come a long way, and they are figuring out more and more ways and creating better products and better sunscreens that are specifically designed for you, and they will help. They are worth it. I am currently using the Image Skincare Prevention Daily Matte Moisturizer. That was a mouthful, I hope I said it right. And it has 32 SPF. One thing that I have come to learn is that when you have acne-prone skin or you have acne, that if you don't wear a sunscreen, especially if you're using prescription retinols, retin-A's, anything like that to try to help your acne, or if you're using any acids or any spot treatments, anything that's supposed to dry up those pimples, what's going to happen is that those spots on your face are going to be very sensitive, and whenever you go out in the sun, you're exposing them even more than they already were. You're giving them more of a chance to become damaged. And what's going to happen is they're going to get even more red, they're going to scar more easily, they're going to become more inflamed. And if I did my research correctly, you are giving your skin more of a chance to form skin cancer. So sunscreen is a lot more important than I used to think it was, especially for my acne. It's actually protecting your acne from getting any worse. It's protecting your acne from becoming damaged by the sun, which causes, like I said, the scarring and the inflammation. So look into your sunscreen and see if that's something that you think you should be implementing. See if you can find one that works good for your skin. Talk to your esthetician. Another healthy habit that I have been trying to work on is food. Food for me is definitely a big part of it, along with trying to find skincare products and a skincare routine that works for my skin and allows it to not be freaked out and to break out all the time, is finding lifestyle habits that also make my body happy, which can in turn make my skin happy. I think that food is definitely a good chunk of having a healthy lifestyle. Whenever I eat better and I feel better, I feel more confident, I feel more energized, I don't feel as stressed or tired or grumpy. And I do find that whenever I am watching what I eat and I'm not eating as many carbs, I don't eat as much dairy, I think that that can have an impact on my skin. I'm definitely not on any diets. I don't think it's realistic to set boundaries for myself that I don't think that I could follow for the rest of my life. I wanted to try to cut dairy out just to see if maybe I had a small intolerance to it, was breaking out from it, but ever since I stuck to what my SD told me to do and I've been following just using the one skincare line, I haven't seen any breakouts, and I've been eating dairy. A lot of people say, oh, if you cut dairy out, it'll make your acne go away. Kind of what I can gather from that is that some people might be sensitive to dairy, some people might be sensitive to gluten, but you might not be, I might not be. So I don't want to jump to conclusions and assume that dairy is bad and that dairy is the problem whenever I personally might not be sensitive to dairy just because somebody else is. So I have definitely tried to cut back on some of these foods. Anything in moderation I feel like is okay. If you take one thing and you go way too far with it, of course it's going to be bad for you. I definitely try to eat as many colorful fruits and vegetables as I can. I try to reduce eating too many refined sugars. I try to limit the amount of dairy that I eat. I try not to just go overboard with the shredded cheese whenever I go to a Mexican restaurant. Whenever I'm watching YouTube, it always seems like the person that I'm watching just has it all together. It seems like this person has been doing this forever. They're disciplined and they eat really good, they work out, their skincare routine is flawless, their skin looks beautiful, and it always just energizes me and it always makes me feel pumped, like I'm ready to do this. But then you get into the real world and then you have to actually implement those changes, and you have to implement those things that you see on YouTube or on TV or on Instagram, and you have to actually apply that to your life. And when you get to that point, it might be easy for a day or two, but then those cravings kick in. And that's where I struggle, and I have to know that my other ladies out there are gonna struggle with that too. Whenever you start having cravings, if you're pregnant, if it's that time of the month, I definitely don't think that just depriving yourself of those things for the rest of your life just so you can have clear skin is really healthy for you, mentally at least. One thing that I've tried to learn is that I can try to find alternatives to the sweet things, and not even just the sweet things, but just any of the snacks and foods that I like to eat in general. I try to find a good, a little bit healthier alternative. I'm definitely gonna botch this. I have discovered cacao. It has more antioxidants and it's just a more natural form of chocolate basically, or the cocoa bean. So I like to take like the cacao, they're called cacao nibs, and I like to put them just in my yogurt or in my granola or in my snacks in general. And I think it's really good and it tastes just like chocolate, but then you remember that you're getting antioxidants and you're getting good things in your system. And for me, it fulfills my craving and makes me feel good. You have to find an alternative to these snacks that is going to satisfy your craving. It has to be something that you actually enjoy eating and that actually tastes good to you. Don't get something that's going to curb your craving, because then it's just going to come back with a vengeance. And from my own personal experience and from a lot of people that I've seen on YouTube, it only causes binging. It's going to cause you to get discouraged. You're just going to want that even more. There are so many recipes. You can find vegan brownies, or you can find plant-based brownies, plant-based cupcakes, plant-based anything. You can find healthier alternatives to what you're craving that will satisfy that craving, that is almost just like the real thing, except it's not as bad for you, or in some circumstances it's better for you than the real thing. One other thing that I would suggest, and that I definitely am working on myself, is starting small. Don't find the biggest monster to tackle first. You have to start with something that's manageable and doable first before you're going to try to tackle these big obstacles for you. Smaller habits that maybe aren't as much of a struggle for you, or haven't been a struggle for as long as other habits, I would definitely suggest working on first. That way you don't burn yourself out, you don't become discouraged, and the small victories, I really feel like, can create a snowball effect, and they can encourage you and just give you that power punch that you need to knock out the next victory. And before you know it, you've made lifestyle changes that have improved your skin and your overall health, and you're just gonna feel so much better that way. So overall, guys, I think that I just wanted to sit down and kind of talk to you about my current changes in my skincare routine, and just kind of give you an update on what I'm doing and what's going on. And so far it's really working. So mid-January, I do get to go in and I'm going to have my very first microdermabrasion treatment done, and I'm pretty excited to see how that goes. I'm excited to see what my skin looks like by then. I did talk to my Esty, and we discussed that if my skin hasn't improved and gotten better by the time I go in next month, that I would be starting the acne program. But considering that I'm already seeing improvements, I definitely don't think that we'll have to do that. I'm really excited to see what the microdermabrasion does, and I'm excited to be able to do that without having any breakouts on my skin. I was really worried. Thank you so much for sitting through this and listening to me talk about my kind of updated skincare routine. And I really think that this is going to work for my skin, and I'm really grateful for my esthetician for being so patient with me. I'm really excited to slowly implement new changes into my routine and just create some more healthy habits that will make me feel better overall, and hopefully help my skin to reflect that. I will definitely be keeping you guys updated. If you'll go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave me some comments below letting me know what you guys want me to talk about or products that you might want me to review. I definitely have a big bin of products that are sitting in my closet. If you want me to take all of my Image skincare products out and break those down and talk about the ingredients in those, I'd be glad to do that too. I know that I kind of took a long time talking about the healthy habits thing today. Okay guys, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up for tonight. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you guys in next week's video.